Hey guys, welcome back to Breaking Feud. This video, want to do a review on this watch. And so my goal, with at least making watch videos is at least talking about certain watches that a lot of reviewers don't really talk about, or give my opinion, my hot take on certain watches. From my perspective, coming from a guy who works at retail and it's, I guess, from a guy who works at retailing is able to get what he can get, and to see if it's worth it for someone who is not a watch enthusiast or can't get their hands on certain watches. And yeah, so this is a review on the Swatch watch, this digital eye watch, digital watch. So let's go for it. So typically when people buy digital watches, right? A lot of like big brands like Hamilton or Belova, they do make digital watches. Only a handful of luxury brands do make digital watches, but even then, it's only like one digital watch model they make. They don't continue to innovate on the digital side. Obviously you got Timex and Casio / G-Shock that's really big on something like that, where they do make their primary focus, especially with Casio, make digital watches, but really good ones. I'm currently wearing this G-Shock on my wrist, and it's pretty cool. It's the same one that Ed Sheeran did when he did his collaboration with Houdinki and G-Shock. But this is a pretty cool watch. But when you think of Swatch, looking at the history, them as a brand, and then obviously what they own, they also own other brands like Omega, Tissot, Hamilton, 21 brands. You don't really think of them making digital watches. I know late 90s they're one of the few companies that actually made a smartwatch. But then they had releases in the early 2000s, and I had picked this up recently from the Florida Sawgrass location, which, mind you, you can place an order and ship it to them. And essentially with that location, they do ship you, so that's the only location that actually sells Swatch watches at a discounted rate. So they're kind of more of like an outlet watch store, and that sells you Swatch watches at a discounted price. But that's because they're older collections. And this honestly caught my eye, and I really wanted to try it out. So yeah, and I really wanted to own it. So yeah. I forgot what the name of this, but you can honestly just search it up. You can get, I guess, different color schemes from the Sawgrass location, but you can also look for like different colors on like eBay or other resellers. This is pretty interesting, where it sort of has a touch interface. When I did my unboxing, you can sort of see. I was getting the hang of it because the way it's functioned, it's like interesting. Honestly, not weird, not terrible, but interesting. Usually with stuff like these, you have a button, and you have like, button on the sides, and you got smartwatch. This is kind of like a hybrid where it uses some sort of touchscreen interface, but not really. So the way it works is when you have the watch, you have two main settings. So you have this, and then you have the day and date functionality. So I have this to time zone 1. You can set up 2 time zones. I've set 2 time zone 1, which is my local time zone. Time zone 2 is my time zone for Arizona State. Just because I'm an Arizona State University student doing it remotely over here from home. It does light up, so it's like, I think when you click on it, yeah, it does light up for a bit, which is pretty cool. Really comfortable to wear. It does use its own, like, a different style battery that most watch stores won't carry, but honestly, you can buy them online or find it at store and install it yourself. And the reason I mentioned this is because with all Swatch watches, you do get a lifetime of free battery replacement through any Swatch store around the world. It's just that with this one, this is a completely different battery that you might have to find it elsewhere, where all other watches will use almost the exact same battery. So yeah. Now, I mean, I can compare this to like something like this, uh, nope, this Casio watch, which I really love. This one is the world time, where you get to get the different time zones from each, you know, part of the world, which is pretty cool. And it's got an alarm, it's got your digital side, and then, your map of where the time zone is. Really cool, useful daily. Another watch with like the multiple time zones is your GMT watch. I have the Seiko 5 automatic sport GMT watch. Pretty cool. One of those watches where it's also budget, and I would recommend buying that. But this one's pretty cool. Just because of its history and the way it functions. So, like I mentioned, you have the light and you have the way to kind of go from the time to the day and date functionality. Like if you hold on the first button, let's see. Yeah, once you hold on to it, you can kind of scroll through. So you have time zone 1, time zone 2, which you can manually set exactly to the accurate seconds. And then from there you have the date functionality, you have the chronograph, you have the alarm, timer, and you got the settings. For me, and what's cool is you can, if you want a certain watch face to be set, so like you want time zone 2, the chronograph, the alarm, the timer, or the settings to be on the home page, you can just leave it at, you would just have to go to that page, leave it at that, and it'll set to the default homepage with the day and date face. But I just have it to this, pretty easy. Most people set it up to this if you do purchase it. It's honestly pretty cool, but putting on your wrist is pretty fun. I would say this is more of like a funky, cool kind of design. Let's put this on next to my Omega bracelet. And you can see the way it's built is kind of curved to be more comfortable on the wrist. So this is the way it works. I will say, because sometimes I would do sleep with my watches on, if you move around and have this on your face, your arm or whatnot, you can kind of accidentally hit random stuff on the watch face, just because it's more like touch sensitive, and it will hit and your skin off your face kind of will interfere with that. Rather than the old style, button stuff. But honestly, pretty cool. It's something that I would, where if you're a real watch enthusiast, this is something I would suggest picking up as more of like a collector thing. If you're a Swatch enthusiast, you must pick it up. It's also pretty amazing. With the functionalities like this, it's pretty impressive. And the way that the UI works, the way the interface works, I honestly think is pretty cool. And this is one of the few watches where I can, and mind you, when you buy a watch, you want to set to the accurate seconds, right? Just because you want to you want to have the most precise time on your wrist. This, oh my god, you can edit the minutes, hour, and the seconds to the exact point. And when I say this, it's so usually when you set up a typical digital watch, not just from Casio or G-Shock, just any, right? Usually, you can't really pause on the time. When you're setting it up, it keeps going on and on, right? The seconds, time keeps moving forward in that sense. So, anytime you want to set up to the accurate seconds, you gotta keep clicking on like the start or stop button or whatever button to reset the seconds every time to get to the actual accurate seconds when you set up the time, right? When the time changes. With this, you can, let's say time is 12:29 and 30 seconds, but you have at 12:29 40 seconds. What it'll do is freeze at that time frame and you can wait for that that 40 seconds to be there, so that once you're done setting it up, it's to the precise time, and you don't have to wait for yourself to wait for the time on your screen to restart, or like to get to the next minute or next hour or whatever, to get it to the accurate time on the watch. So when you're setting it up, it's pretty cool. And yes, it doesn't sound like that much because you set up once, but the amount of times that you have to change out the battery and you want it to this, to the millisecond. And I know over the period of time, and this is not just with digital, but like usually mostly with analog, especially the automatics and manual ones, it's a hassle, to set the time, the precise one. That's me. I'm really picky with my watches, and that's just because in general, when you have a watch, if you're not a watch enthusiast, you want to the precise second. This does an amazing job, and it's one of those things just where like even if you're not a watch enthusiast, you need a watch to tell the most precise time. This is the way to go. It's quirky, it looks cool, it has a fun design, fun text, but also setting it up. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit confusing at first, but when you play around, it'll be so much easier than using other digital watches where it's like you have to hit certain buttons to make sure you get it right. It's amazing, but I also like to have options of using buttons, just because if I'm sleeping, the touch interface kind of gets in the way. But other than that, is it worth picking up a watch like this? I would say 1,000%. If you can get brand new from the Sawgrass location, or if you can get in amazing condition through resellers or eBay or whatever, I would suggest it. It's pretty cool, pretty fun. So yeah. Thank you all for watching this video. As always, please stay tuned for more content. Hit the subscribe button. Share this video with everyone else. Hit the like button. And yeah, stay safe and have a blessed day.